Welcome to the Class of 2014 graduation ceremony. I'm Wyatt Torrey, former Student Council President. The flag ceremony began a number of years ago, and the flags you see today are the nations represented by our senior class. Please all stand for the presentation of the flags. The flag of the United States of America, carried by Lucille Wells. The flag of Belgium, carried by Maximilian Hale. The flag of Albania, carried by Kelly Gikondi. The flag of Armenia, carried by Elizabeth Tohosyan. The flag of Canada, carried by Paige Brown. The flag of Georgia, carried by Mirab Chitanava. flag of Macedonia carried by Anna Maria Vasileva. Flag of Moldova carried by Andrea Ticu. Flag of Montenegro carried by Petar Vlahovic. Flag of the Netherlands carried by Elisa Maria Vitali. Flag of the United Kingdom carried by Matthew Prue. That concludes the presentation of the flags. Please be seated.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome our special guests, Lieutenant General David Hogue, Jose DeFer, Mark Storello from the U.S. Embassy, Isles Superintendent Frank Rail, and Deputy Garrison Manager Patrick Rothbauer and Mrs. Rothbauer. Welcome also to our parents, our relatives, our friends, and our teachers of our senior class. Now, if you include my own high school graduation, tonight will mark my 35th or more high school graduations. And the thought has crossed my mind, seniors. I attended a spectacular senior prom at a castle on Saturday night. Also, in the past month alone, there have been award assemblies, sports banquets, championship games and events, drama productions, musical concerts, field days, and an exceptional talent show. So with all these awesome events going on, I can only ask the senior class one final question as your principal. Why would you possibly want to leave? In about an hour, if you behave, and remember you're still 9 until that time, I will be unleashing onto this planet this group of young ladies and gentlemen who truly represent our finest. The flags present here are so appropriate because they are so diverse, as are the students on this stage. I tried to think of words of describing these young ladies and gentlemen: creative, ambitious, confident, reserved, personable, and each in their own special way, dynamic and hopefully well prepared to face the world and what lies ahead. It's a world that needs a lot of work, so do not let us down. It is now my privilege to introduce this year's salutatorium, Lucille Wells. And this year's valedictorian, Sam Rashiopo.
Everyone here, I'm sure, is looking forward to upcoming events. To college, the next Game of Thrones episode, this kid on stage shutting up so you can get something to eat. But before we look forward, let's take a quick moment to look back. To start off, I just want to say how grateful I am. To the teachers sitting in the audience, I applaud you. If the government knew the level of patience it requires to spend hours teaching blank-faced sophomores how to balance chemical equations, they'd pay you a lot more. The more I think back on the last 4 years, the more I realize how much we've all changed. From dorky little freshmen to slightly less dorky seniors, you teachers have seen it all. You have both dealt with and facilitated these changes, and now you have to watch our beautiful faces leave BES forever. But wipe those tears off your face, Mr. Barenhorst. When we become billionaires and presidents, know that it all started with you. I can't imagine how difficult it would be to constantly teach the same material to an endless swarm of teenagers. But somehow you endure it, and you do it with a smile on your face, at least most of the time. If you ever feel discouraged, just remember that there are those of us whose lives you really change. I certainly am one of them, so thank you again. I'm grateful too to my peers. I'm sure I speak for my entire class when I say the relationships I had here were what got me through. Looking back, it becomes clear that my best moments, the moments that I grew closest to my friends, were often in the worst situation. Those hour-long AP tests, freezing soccer games, and hours spent in the shuttle at 4 a.m. are the memories I will hold on to most from high school. For every bad moment we have, we get a good memory along with it. When we're neck deep in homework, debt, and dirty laundry in the coming years, I hope everyone can look back fondly at the simpler times we spent with our high school friends. The final group of people I want to thank tonight is my family. Though others have only been stuck with us for 4 years, our families have been stuck with us our entire lives. I can personally say that I'm ready to fly the coop, start doing things my own way, and make my mistakes. What I can also say is that I know I will miss my family terribly, even if it doesn't feel like I will right now. No matter where we go, what we get tattooed across our backs, or who we choose to become, you will always be our family. So one last time to my family, I say thank you for raising me, for always having my back, and for dedicating your lives to my success. Thanks for sitting through that. Everyone have a good luck, and good luck to my fellow graduates.
Good evening, parents, friends, alumni, graduating seniors. My classmates and I have been waiting for this day for quite some time. We have just heard Sam reminisce about our time here at the Brussels American School, and now I have the distinct pleasure of discussing our future. Some of us will stay in Europe, while many of us go back to the States. We'll be in the land of good weather, Costco, and American football, but we will forever be affected by this land of chocolate, frites, and real football. Unless you're from Belgium, nothing will change the fact that we have spent at least some of our formative years in a culture not our own. While we will always remember our time here, we will have to move on in our lives. As we leave BAS, I would like to share some advice my parents have given me. My father has his dogma, which includes do your best and always be honest. In college and work, we will be faced with more responsibility than ever before, and we may feel overwhelmed. As long as we try our hardest on whatever task, we cannot go wrong. Doing your best doesn't mean that a person should do what she thinks she can do and then walk away. It means a person should seek help, demand deserved attention, and then do what she knows she can do. The other phrase, often repeated in my household, is to always be honest. It is not easy to maintain your integrity. Sometimes, no one will ever find out when you lie. But always being honest will give you a reputation worthy of respect. If you admit you did wrong, if you speak your mind, if you keep your values, people may not like you, but they will respect you. On the other hand, if you hide your faults, focus on only making others happy, follow the crowd, people may like you, but no one will respect you. When it comes down to like or respect, people will follow those whom they respect, and the respected will go on to become the great leaders. Just as relevant in today's society as my father's advice is my mother's. She has often told me to never be afraid to fail. As we start the next chapter in our lives, we will face new opportunities, new places, new people, and new challenges. These new experiences will be frightening, and not all of them will be good. We may be afraid to say yes to the good experiences, or even afraid to say no to the bad ones. We need to know our limits, yet not let those limits hinder us from getting out of our comfort zone. The only way I have found to overcome this fear of failure is by building a support structure. For me, if anything goes horribly wrong at Caltech, I know my parents' house is just a 2-hour drive away and is always open. For others of you, your parents may be halfway across the world. If that's the case, find a support structure closer to the dorm. It may be comprised of family members, good friends, a church, or even a hairdresser. Just find individuals who are willing to listen to you and to help you. With your support structure firmly in place, you have no reason to fear failure. Yes, you will fail at things throughout your life, but your support structure will help you get back on your feet. Now, I'd like to give some of my own personal advice. Set aside times to do activities that you consider important. My brother considers religious duty to be an important aspect of his life, so he decided to put his education on hold for 2 years to serve a mission for our church. I, on the other hand, have always known that I would go into the sciences. And while I love the sciences, I also love to play the oboe and to draw portraits. I know these hobbies will never become a career for me, yet I have always set aside time to participate in them. I went to honors band and have taken private lessons for the oboe. For portraiture, I went to Creative Connections and summer art camps. These activities have added another dimension to my life, and I am sure that finding something important to you will add other dimensions to your lives. They may include hiking, reading, volunteering. Whether you're in the midst of climbing to the top of the corporate ladder or being overwhelmed by your own children, make time to do important things that you like and that fulfill you. When we leave Brussels, we'll be faced with copious options. I urge my classmates to find something they are passionate about, whether it be painting, writing, or chemistry. Find your niche, find your passion, and you can do anything. Be anyone. Passionate people change the world, for better or for worse. Be the person that changes the world for the better. Thank you. Next, we have Veronica to introduce our keynote speaker.
Good evening. This year we have a speaker who can relate to us BAS graduates like no one else really can. A military child, a graduate of BAS, and a previous French 2 student of Madame Blumenthal at ACS. Did you know that she taught at BAS? Mr. Dwayne Highland comes to us all the way from Virginia. He is the reflection of hope and success that all of us in this room wish the class of 2014 will attain and achieve. Mr. Highland graduated from BAS in 1987 and is now a communications specialist and lobbyist at the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. This means he does things such as handle media affairs and even advocate for space and aeronautics programs. In addition to this, Mr. Highland has had the opportunity to meet influential people such as Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Bob Crippen, John Glenn, Frank Culbertson, and Sandra Magnus. It is my distinct honor to introduce to you our guest speaker this year, Mr. Dwayne Highland.
I hope I can live up to Veronica's eloquent introduction. Thank you so much. Good evening, Principal Goldman, distinguished faculty, distinguished guests, staff, especially Ms. Bottesini, who was wonderful to answer a million different emails from me about this occasion. My wife, Roberta, and most of all, the class of 2014, including Sam, who put the initial invitation on Facebook. Thank you for inviting me here. I can only assume that you couldn't get Elizabeth Vargas because she's on assignment. She graduated here in 1985, or Suzanne Collins, who was here in the 70s, because undoubtedly she's off writing the next sequel to The Hunger Games. So you got me from the class of 1987. Being June 6th, before I begin, I would like to take a moment here to reflect that 70 years ago, more than 100,000 men, many of the age of the graduates here, found themselves on French beaches fighting for their lives, brought here by the idea that a European continent free from tyranny, genocide, and fascism were ultimately more important than their individual lives. Well, it took another 45 years to fully realize those goals, especially here in Europe. If not for their sacrifice, bravery, and courage, I don't think we would be here tonight. We would, excuse me, we owe them our thanks, especially those who gave their last full measure of devotion on Omaha, Utah, green, sword, and gold. And we should remember that without their loss and without their sacrifice and their commitment to an idea bigger than them, this occasion would not likely be possible and our world would be a very different place. So, being a graduation speaker is actually harder than surviving a wedding in Westeros. And if you follow Game of Thrones, you know how surviving one of those really is. I have to thank people, I have to give some advice, and I have to inspire. Okay, so for the faculty, thank you. Thank you for your investment of your time, talent, and energy in forming the lives of these young people. I know that your opulent salaries, magnificent sport cars, and large mansions make it all worthwhile, but we thank you. Parents, thank you for your countless sacrifices, enduring hardships, and numerous late nights where you remembered that you couldn't kill them. Because remember that without you, none of this would be possible at all. And students, be sure to thank your parents and teachers. They've put a lot of time in their lives into you, and it would be nice of you to thank them. And don't put off to tomorrow what you can do tonight, because life's short, and you don't know if tomorrow's going to be there. So as I was looking back, as my 22 classmates, 21 Americans and 1 gentleman from Turkey, were graduating in 1987, we entered a world not much unlike today's world. The Soviet Union dominated strategic thinking. There was war in Afghanistan. There was war in Iraq. Iran was sponsoring terrorism against us. And everywhere you looked in the media, there was bold proclamations about global warming. And politics were bitterly partisan. If you think about it, that world hasn't changed very much. Only you get to go out to it with a Blu-ray, better coffee, better electronics, and a lot more to watch on television. Although if you miss Bill Cosby and Flemish, you missed a lot. So to figure out what to speak about tonight, because they asked me here to speak, my disembodied head, much like out of an episode of Futurama, got to speak to the class a couple of weeks ago to figure out what I was going to say. And it was Ms. DeFazio who actually spoke for the class and asked, did Brussels American School prepare you for the world? Okay, and I assume she also meant, has it prepared the class of 2014 for this world? Well, I did some research. I got on Facebook, I talked to classmates that I've kept up with. I did some research on LinkedIn for classmates that I haven't kept up with, and here's what I found. Out of the 23 graduates, we did okay. One of us is a multi-millionaire, and if you ever get to Ankara, Turkey, and you buy a cell phone, you're buying it from his distribution network. He is the cell phone king of Turkey. 2 of us are nurses. 1 of us is an actual professional entertainer. 2 are PR executives. 1 is a military officer who served with distinction in the Special Forces in Afghanistan. 1 sits on the board of directors of a major healthcare concern. 3 are full-time soccer moms. 1 is a dentist. Yeah. 1 works for a major, I already said that. She works for the hotel. 1 is a special education teacher. 3 work for the government outside the military. And 1 is the head of IT at a Florida college. I think that Brussels American School did a fine job of preparing the class of 1987 for the world. But when I spoke to my classmates about the question, they were all unanimous in one thought. If Brussels American School has not prepared you for life, although they are confident it has, being a military or government dependent has. You have lived through countless moves, lived in multitude environments, and worked alongside people of other cultures, advantages your stateside peers really haven't had. As 1987 alum Colonel Keith Phillips, U.S. Army Colonel, pointed out, you will meet people in college who have never lived abroad, never navigated a metro, never had the pressure of being a representative of an entire nation when interacting with others. These experiences have shaped you in positive ways, ways that you won't realize now for many years. You are better prepared to live in a world where business isn't done just down the street, but around the world, where employment opportunities may mean taking that job in Sydney and not the one in San Francisco, where your coworkers come from a mix of countries and where you may be expected to know something of the world outside of the United States. You are ahead of your peers. You should not doubt this. Colonel Phillips went on to note that Brussels American has given you experiences you will not have again until much later in life. It wasn't until my probably my mid-30s, that we could afford to come back to Europe, let alone have frites and chocolate in Belgium. And you're going to navigate a world that will demand maturity, perseverance, and self-reliance to get ahead. Your time here has prepared you for that. And in a world that moves at 1,000,000 miles an hour, that really does, you will have the advantage. And you know, looking back, I agree with Keith. And Keith was the quarterback of the football team here, senior class president, and Mr. Everything, really. You may not realize it now, but if you haven't been back to the States for a bit, you're going to be in for what my astronaut friends, and we'll get to them in a few minutes, call reentry burn, but later in life, what you've experienced here is going to mean so much more to each of you. You have to believe that, because it will. Now, for those of you not from America in this class, and may I say what a diverse class it is, given that there was only one from outside of America in mind, you too are going to have an advantage. You will go back to your countries and be able to say, you know Americans, you know America, and you know that we're not all fat, lazy, ignorant, and not knowing about the world. And that is a very important stereotype to dispel, because that's what we see all the time in the media. So you have an advantage also. Being at Brussels American School has benefited you in ways that you'll never know until much later. And remember this, the Japanese proverb cautions us that the frog who lives in a well soon thinks the well is the world. You have much broader experience than the frog, as much as I like amphibians, and have seen a much wider world. This will benefit you in innumerable ways. So if the academics here, and man, I hope the teachers are as demanding as they were when I went here. They're right, hopefully, yes, hard, good. Have not prepared you, that overall experience has. However, it was Roberta, who makes her living in higher education, that asked the better question. Who asked another important, I shouldn't say better, but just as an important. It's not all about what Brussels American has done to prepare you. The real question is what have you done to prepare yourselves? A few of you, in a couple months, you all will be entering university studies, or most of you will be. And while that is a time of infinite freedom, I used to be a resident assistant in the freshman dorm, trust me, it's infinite freedom. But are you going to have that discipline to make the 8 a.m. class 3 times a week? Not like high school, they're not going to take attendance. They're just going to expect you to be there, and if you don't show up, passing, probably not going to happen. Are you going to have the foresight to understand that the people you meet and befriend on the first day of school are unlikely to be your friends or even your fellow students on the last day of school? Are you going to have the courage to stand for your convictions, whatever those convictions may be, in the face of people that are going to ridicule you for them? Are you going to have the strength to grow as a person and to accept that the viewpoints you now hold as 17 and 18-year-olds will most likely change over time? And do you have the strength to let that happen? Do you have the ability to discern when someone is acting in your best interests or when they're sending you down the wrong path? These are questions only you can answer. For those of you who will enter the military, you're going to find your life regulated by rules, disciplines, and challenges greater than anything you've experienced. And do you have the strength to stand still at attention as a drill instructor points out your shortcomings, usually in a way that indicates your self-esteem is not their primary concern? Do you have the strength to help the man or woman in your platoon who isn't quite keeping up with the program? The courage to speak up when you see things amiss and to get the ship back on the right course? And do you have a sense of self that helps you understand that mission and the team is greater than your individual needs? Again, only you hold those answers. And for those of you taking a gap year, entering employment directly, or moving on to other pursuits, do you have the fortitude to know that work is work and that your Saturday night plans aren't always that important when the job needs to get done? Have you considered that the workplace means you will associate daily with people that think, believe, act, love differently than you, and whatever your beliefs, you will have to find common ground for the good of the work? Have you sought out people that can tell you about the work you will do, what the company is like, and what you're getting into? I hope you have, but again, only you can answer those questions. But if you think about the answers to those questions, they allow you to isolate your strengths, know your weaknesses, and to work on the weaknesses. And for anyone thinking that it's a shame to have weaknesses, it's not. It's nothing to be ashamed about. We all have them. So now, my second duty, advice. Much like Walter White, if you watch Breaking Bad, and if you haven't discovered Breaking Bad, discover it, it's a good show. My day-to-day job is pretty tedious. He was a high school chemistry teacher, and I work with astronauts. But I also get to hang out with the astronauts, and that's kind of cool. Just like he got to hang out with some people, except it was illegal. So when I first started at the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, I started running the congressional advocacy grassroots program. And the first person that I encountered, and then encountered many times after that, was a guy named Neil Armstrong. First guy on the moon, except Neil never wanted to talk about the moon. He always wanted to talk about the P-51D Mustang, his favorite fighter plane of all time. And in my conversations with Mr. Armstrong over the years, I came to learn that just because you did something famous once, you better have more dimension to your personality, because otherwise people are really, really going to get bored with you. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Make sure that you are more than unidimensional. Develop many interests, have many friends, know many things. It'll keep you sane when you're older. Well, the second person I've had the opportunity to spend a lot more time with is a guy named Buzz Aldrin, and he was Neil's partner on that mission. And he was the second person to put his foot on the moon. Now, if you meet Buzz, it's a friend of mine, if you meet him, he's actually really larger than life and really opinionated. He called me fat once. The first time he met me for 2 minutes, he goes, "Wow, you're really fat." I'm like, "Yes, sir." Yes, I am. I used to be about 100 pounds heavier. So yeah, I was fat when I met him. But if you read his autobiography, you determine one thing about him, that for 30 years, he could not accept the fact that he was second on the moon. Then one day he woke up and he said, "Yeah, I was second, but it was the moon." I mean, so from my interactions with him over the years, I've learned that you have to put things in perspective. Don't forget that. You can't always win. I know we live in a society that gives trophies and all this kind of thing just for showing up and trying, but you won't always win now in life. And sometimes you will come in second, but put coming in second in perspective. There's no shame in coming in second, unless the only shame comes from not having given the effort your all. I coach high school debate in my spare time. For 27 years, I've always told kids, it doesn't matter how you lose. It only matters how you come back. And that is a very important lesson. And lastly, I picked this third piece of advice is from my boss. Her name's Sandy Magnus, and she was the last American woman to go into space on the space shuttle on STS-135. She also lived on the International Space Station for 4.5 months. The hardest part about working for an astronaut is knowing your commute to work story is never going to top hers. But the first time I met her, she wasn't actually my boss. I was actually her press handler at an event where we had some reporters, and we opened the floor to questions, and these reporters stand up, and what they go, space shuttle, they don't want to know about that. They talk about socks. They're like, these socks that you wore on station, why did you wear them? What did it mean? Why did you leave them behind? Did Tony Soprano really get whacked in the finale? And there's always one reporter that doesn't fit in. So these socks were really garish. They were really ugly socks. But Sandy actually replied that the socks represented her whimsical side and signified her sense of humor. And you know, that's very true. We all do serious work. You will too one day go on to do serious work. Never lose your sense of self, and always be yourself, and remember to have fun, relax, chill out, or whatever the expression is these days. Because once you lose yourself, it's very hard to come back. So we're down to the inspiration point, and I'll make this quick. You were probably told at least once in your life that you couldn't achieve something, you couldn't do something, that you couldn't get there, and that you were not capable. Ignore that. I was told that once too. They said, "Highland, you're never going to go to college, you're never going to amount to anything, you should just go be a janitor. College isn't for you, you're going to drown." Well, I went out and got 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's just to prove that I could. So I hope that you will ignore that advice. People often forget that words are powerful things. They can build you up or tear you down, and I hope sincerely that you will never forget that. But if you remember anything about words, remember this. At the Virginia Military Institute, which is a couple hours from my house, inscribed on an archway, there are these words: "You may be whatever you resolve to be." And while they were spoken by a general who ended up on the losing side of the American Civil War, these words are a great guide for life. It may take you longer. You may have to work harder. You may have to invest more energy, make greater sacrifices, and you may need more tries than others to get it right. But if you want it, want to be it, want to do it, you can. The key is keeping focus and not giving up, even when it feels like giving up is the only choice. Just remember, if you want it, you can achieve it, because nothing defines you. Everything you've been told to date doesn't matter. It's what you want and the effort you will put in to get what you want. So, the other thing one of my former students wanted me to tell you all is that 18, this is not an end. We all think of graduation, oh, this is an end. It's actually a beginning. You're 18. If there's things you want to do in your life that you haven't done thus far, today is a great day to start. In her case, it was learning Arabic and Chinese. I don't know what it will be in your case, but I hope that you start whatever it is you've been putting off. And I hope you discover things later in life that you want to start. It's never too late to start. So as you prepare to go out in this world, the same world I went out to from the BAS cafeteria, not in these august surroundings, and I still smell French fries at every graduation, I don't know why. You've already lived times full of change, transition, and hardship. These experiences have made you more resilient, understanding, and adaptable. And your ability to travel Europe and other parts of the world have given you a better understanding that people really are the same the world over. And the smallness and closeness of the community here at Brussels American School, and this is important, have exposed you to what it is to be part of a community that cares, supports, encourages, and helps people. I coach at a school of 3,800 students. I only know the 50 kids on my team. You have the advantage of coming from a school of about 150 students, K through 12. You know everyone in the building, and they know you. And I know that can seem like a drag, but trust me, it's not. You've learned a lot about supporting, knowing, and caring. Live life, but don't forget that living means sacrifice. And don't forget to thank your parents and teachers. And last but not least, thank you for having me here. And I hope I fulfilled my duty, and I wish you the best in the years ahead. You know, life is waiting, and you're going to be out there soon, but capture this moment and hold it for a while. Have fun with your classmates tonight. Thank the people important to you. Remember, life moves fast and time flies, but just enjoy tonight. Thank you.
Matthew Robert Prue. Matt will attend the Florida Institute of Technology and major in computer science. He thanks his parents for always being there through the ups and downs and for raising him to be the person that he is today. He thanks his little brother Callum for bullying him in front of his friends, but also for the hilarious moments that they shared. Lastly, he thanks all his teachers and friends who have made these past 7 years some of the most memorable of his life. Javon Solomon Harrison. Jay will attend Thomas Nelson Community College in Hampton, Virginia, where he will focus on general studies. He would like to send a big thanks to his family, who has been there and supported him in all of his choices, and who have encouraged and motivated him to do better and go farther. He says, if it weren't for the tremendous amount of love and care, I wouldn't be walking down the aisle and getting my diploma. He also thanks everyone else who was there to support him. Hopefully, out of all these years, he says, all of your hard work will pay off for me in the real world. And lastly, Mom, I love you. Christian Eftimov. Christian will attend the University American College in Skopje, where he will major in business. He thanks his family and all of those that are close for their unlimited support and the wonderful memories. Gabriel Lawrence Chima. Gabe will take a gap year before pursuing a career in biology. Firstly, he thanks his mom for keeping him fed and sheltered, and his dad for keeping him on a good path. He thanks his friends for being there for him and for all the fun times. Finally, he thanks his brother Michael for being his best friend in the whole world. Petar Vlahovic. Petar plans to major in business administration at HUB, the Hogeschool University of Brussels. He says that throughout his high school years, he has had a lot of fun, and he is thankful that he got the opportunity to attend BAS. He would like to thank his family for supporting him through his highs and his lows. Also, he thanks all his friends for making high school a better experience in general. I love you all. Joshua Douglas Smith. Josh will attend the Rochester Institute of Technology and enter their aerospace engineering program. Josh says that while he can neither confirm nor deny that he should be graduating, since he's here, he would like to thank his parents for not only putting up with him, but also for supporting him throughout his life. He also thanks his friends for always being there when he needed them most. Last, he thanks his teachers for preparing him for college. Maximilian Rene Alexander Hale. Max will major in physical therapy at Ernest Duzerlis here in Brussels. He thanks his parents for always pushing him in his studies and supporting him in his passions. He thanks Coach Bone and Coach Bottassini for putting tennis back into his life. He says it's grown into a hobby instead of just a physical activity. He thanks Mr. Rummery for bringing back the musician that was dormant when he first came to BAS. And lastly, he says, with all my heart, I will miss BAS and all the people that make it such a special place. Modibo Torre. will major in biology at Concordia University in Montreal. He would first like to thank his parents for tolerating his tomfoolery for the past 17 years. He says, "I know it's been tough, but we did it." He thanks his coaches who built up his confidence throughout high school, and Mrs. Winslow for making the presidency such a blast. You were my rock. And lastly, he thanks Mr. McVicker for convincing him to take AP Physics, which caused him to take 3 APs rather than 1. You the man. Teodora Vasileva. Teodora will enter medical school at St. Cyril and Methodius University in Macedonia. She thanks her parents for all the years of support and encouragement. She also would like to thank the BAS staff for their support and for helping her further her education. She says, "I've had an amazing experience in these 3 years of high school, and I will truly miss it." Anna Maria Vasileva. Anna Maria will also attend St. Cyril and Methodius University, where she will major in mechanical engineering. To begin with, she would like to express her gratitude to her parents, without whom she wouldn't be here today. She says that they have put up with and supported her countless dreams and ambitions all these years. Hopefully, I've made you proud. In addition, she wants to thank the BAS staff. Without their hard work, she wouldn't have been able to narrow down her career choices. Also, she really wants to thank her teachers who worked very hard and were always helpful. And lastly, she says, "It's been the best 4 years of my life, and I'm glad I've got to spend them at BAS." Michael Alexander Mathewson. Mike will study mechanical engineering while joining the Navy ROTC program at Old Dominion University. He would first like to thank his parents for raising him to be the man he is today. He also thanks his teachers for putting up with all his shenanigans and tomfoolery. Lastly, to everyone he has had a pleasure of calling friend, and you know who you are, he says, "You inspire me, give me light, and make me who I am." Zachary Daniel Coleman. Zach will attend Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida, and study creative writing for entertainment. He would like to thank his family for being supportive and encouraging. He also thanks his teachers for teaching and guiding him in the right direction. Marab Chitanava. Marab will attend HUB here in Brussels and major in business administration. He thanks his parents for everything that they have done for him. He says, "I could not have done anything without you. Thank you, Sopo and Ika." Eliza Marie Aileen Vitale. Eliza will attend the University of Miami in Coral Gables and major in marketing. She would like to thank her parents, sisters, and Opa for being her biggest support system during these past 17 years. She says, "I don't know where I would be without you guys." To Matt, Becca, and everyone else who has been there for her, she wishes all of you the best in your futures. To Mr. McVicker and Mr. Varenhorst, she says, "I want to thank you for helping prepare me to meet this new stage in my life." And to Coach Como and Coach Bone, she says, "I can't thank you enough for teaching me how important dedication and hard work are in reaching one's goals. Thanks again to all, and brig and pride." Brandon Oliver Jenkins. While Brandon is uncertain as to where at this point, he plans to pursue a career in the field of nursing. He would like to thank everyone, and you know who you are, who has helped him get to this point in his life. He would also like to recognize all of the BAS High School for being such great people and for making this his favorite year of high school. He says, I want everyone here to remember that nothing happens by accident. God is directing each one of our steps, and good luck to everyone. Ryan Alexander Walford. Ryan will attend Texas A&M University and major in biomedical engineering. He thanks his parents and brother for the love, support, and encouragement that he relied on since his first year of school. He thanks his teachers for providing the challenges, preparation, and inspiration that he needed to be ready for college and the years beyond. Lastly, he thanks his coaches and teammates for the unforgettable memories, both on and off the field. Samuel Leonard Raccioppo. Sam will study microbiology at the University of California, Santa Barbara. He thanks his parents for being his biggest advocates and fans, and his big brother Peter for being his role model and best friend. He also thanks his coaches for their patience, and he thanks his teachers, especially Mr. McVicker, for the passion he puts into teaching and the inspiration he gives to make you learn. Finally, he thanks all of his friends, past and present, who have made high school memorable, particularly his vanilla and chocolate bears, Greg and Wyatt. Gregory Thomas Norton. Greg will major in linguistics at Michigan State University. He thanks all of his family who were able to attend his graduation. He also thanks all of the parents and teachers who have supported him throughout the years. He says, I couldn't have made it without you guys. Russell William Cole. Will plans to major in history at Norwich University in Northfield, Vermont. He thanks his family and friends for all the help and support over the years. Rebecca Elizabeth Harness. Rebecca will attend Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida, and major in intercultural studies. She thanks her teachers and coaches for never giving up on her and for always pushing her to do her best. To Diane and Hannah, she says, thanks for guiding me through my trying teenage years. She also thanks her family and friends, Lola, Eliza, and Carson specifically, for supporting her when she needed it. Finally, she would like to thank Jesus for absolutely everything, saying, I know I wouldn't be standing here as joyful and whole as I am today were it not for you. Gabrielle Leiloni Friedhoff. While Gabby is not yet decided on a major, she will attend St. Francis College in Brooklyn, New York. She thanks her parents for clearing the path in front of her, for holding her hand as they stood beside her, and for being there with full support and love behind her. She says that although the list would be too long to name individually, she would also like to thank all of her loved ones here today and around the globe for constantly showering her with support and the much-needed words of wisdom. She says, you sure know how to make a girl feel loved. Brittany Michelle Walden. Brittany will pursue a career in veterinary science at Valdosta State University in Valdosta, Georgia. She wants to thank her parents, her 3 sisters, and her boyfriend. She says, I couldn't have done this without you guys, and I love you so much. Alexandra Marie DeFazio. Allie will attend the University of San Francisco and major in political science. Her biggest thanks goes out to her mom and dad. She says, I am so lucky because of the love and impact that you have had on my life. She thanks her teachers and coaches who have not only taught, but inspired her to learn. And to Michael and Dominic, she says, I love you, dummies, stay real. Lastly, to her friends who have shared some of the best times of her life so far, she says, I love you all, and I see great things in our future. Paige Leiloni Brown. Paige will pursue a career as a chemical engineer at the Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken, New Jersey. She thanks her parents for putting up with her for so long and her little brother for being so cool. She says to him, don't go crazy without me. She also thanks her parents for flying all the way over here just to see her graduate. And finally, she thanks her teachers, friends, and coaches at BAS, saying, you have made me who I am today, bring in pride. Elizabeth Torosian. Elizabeth will attend HUB and major in business. She would like to thank her parents for their support, encouragement, and guidance, which has helped her through her life. She also thanks her friends, teachers, and coaches for being a part of her life and for giving her the opportunity to be a true brigand. Finally, she says, I will miss everyone, but I will enjoy the memories we made these past 2 years. I love you all, and congratulations to the class of 2014. Lucille Arlene Wells. Lucille will be attending Caltech and major in chemistry. She would like to thank her parents for always being there for her and for being patient with her as she worked out who she became. She also thanks her friends, teachers, and administrators at BAS for their support and encouragement. Lucille says, I am excited to be attending such a respected research university where, according to RateMyProfessor.com, Dr. Sheldon Cooper from the TV show Big Bang Theory is doing research. Lastly, she says, it was a long, sometimes hard journey to this spot, and I look forward to starting a new life in sunny California. Kelly Giconde. Kelly will attend HUB and major in business management. First, she thanks her parents for their support and unconditional love. To her little brother Ronnie, she says, good luck next year and may the odds be forever in your favor. She thanks her newfound friends for putting a smile on her face every morning, and finally, she gives a massive thank you to all of her teachers for their patience and understanding. Congratulations, class of 2014. Veronica Esther Mena. Veronica will attend City University of New York, Baruch branch, where she will major in accounting, finance, and advertisement marketing. She thanks her parents for always being by her side and for guiding her, and most importantly, for being her parents before being her best friends. To Grandma, she says, I love you so much. Thank you for always being in my corner. She thanks her sisters for keeping her grounded and entertained, and the rest of her family for the guidance, advice, and support. She thanks Mrs. Carla and Mrs. D. Allen for listening and for always being there for her, and she thanks Mrs. Nicolay for her amazing ability to get her to understand anything. Lastly, she thanks her best friends, Ruth, Taya, Becca, Anna Maria, and Teodora, for getting her through the last 3 years of high school and for all the memories and for making her laugh. Carson Marie Gangler. Carson will major in the field of biology at DePaul University in Chicago. She wants to thank her parents for supporting her through every struggle and whim. She also thanks her sister for always listening to her, but she says neither of us ever stopped talking. Lastly, she thanks the handful of people who have made a difference in her life and who have helped shape the way that she sees the world. Ruth Alexis Alvarez. Ruth plans to explore a career in international relations by pursuing an online associate's degree while also working. She would like to thank her parents and family for putting up with her for all these years and for giving up so much so that she could have such a bright future. She says that if it was not for all their love and support, she would not be standing here now. She would also like to thank her friends, especially Veronica, for supporting her and making these past few years interesting and exciting. Kaya Sierra Parham. Kaya will attend Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where she will study humanities, philosophy, and pre-med. She thanks her parents for caring so much about her and her future, and also her family for always supporting her through the craziest of things. She thanks her best friends in Maryland and here for always being there for her when she needed someone to lean on. Lastly, she thanks her teachers for helping her to graduate and for making getting into college possible.
Will the class of 2014 please rise? You may now turn the tassel.
I have reviewed the final transcripts of the students of the class of 2014 in accordance with the guidelines of the Department of Defense Dependent Schools, and as the proud principal of Brussels American School, I now declare you the graduates of the class of 2014.
This evening we're going to do a reception slightly different than before. I will dismiss the students, and then we will have the dignitaries follow them, along with the staff, the teachers and staff and faculty. And if you'll just be patient a moment longer, parents, you'll get your turn. Without further ado.